had a client call me just recently, and I've been around for 4 years in this company, and he was one of my first clients. He mailed 3 years ago, roughly. And I was like, I know your name sounds familiar. He's like, yeah, we mailed something out 3 years ago. I checked. It was like 1,500 mailers. He spent like $1,000 back in 2024 or whatever it was. I swear to God, he told me over the course of 3 years, he got like 4 deals out of it, made over $100,000 off just that $1,000 worth of mail that got sent out 3 years ago, which is absolutely insane.
What's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you.
Been a while.
Has.
What's been going on in your world?
Oh, it's our busy time of the year, so just reflecting on some different things from last year and trying to use those insights to better help my clients going forward here. But it's been a pretty interesting year. Have a lot of takeaways. Would you say so yourself? Just how you learned?
We've got a lot going on. The market's slowing down around the holidays. I usually have to run my clients back and tell them that, things are going to pick up. All certainly did slow down. I saw response rates get cut in half, but transactions were there, right? So people are still selling their properties. And from what I hear from a lot of my clients, March seems to be a lot of people's best month. I'm taking this off some other podcasts I listen to. I heard something along the lines of that most Q4 deals, people that they find out they want to sell their property in Q4, whether it's divorce, they're just in a tight spot, whatever the case is, they usually pull the trigger in Q1 of the next year. They might, on Christmas or whatever, talk to their family about, hey, let's sell dad's house. And then they usually pull the trigger Q1. So
yeah,
I see that.
And that's something too, like we're not just saying this because we are a mail company, but that is one of the greatest benefits of using direct mail in general is just the staying power, is getting in front of them during the holidays, especially when they're around families, but also they can hang it up on the fridge, they leave it on the counter. It's a daily reminder for them. So around Q1, like you're mentioning, a lot of those transactions actually happen from the mail that was sent in Q4.
Yeah, dude, that reminds me. I had a client call me just recently. And, I've been around for 4 years in this company, and he was one of my first clients. He mailed 3 years ago, roughly. And I was like, I know your name sounds familiar. He's like, yeah, we mailed something out 3 years ago. I checked. It was like 1,500 mailers. He spent like $1,000 back in 2024, whatever it was. I swear to God, he told me over the course of 3 years, he got like 4 deals out of it, made over $100,000 off just that $1,000 worth of mail that got sent out 3 years ago, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and it's hard to, I feel like I've had similar situations, but I don't know if he was busy or trying out other marketing channels, but what do you think the reason on why he waited 3 years to come back if he saw so much success?
That's a good question, and I probably should have asked him that, but I think it was something along the lines of that he's not a full-time investor.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, if calls are still rolling in once or twice a month, why would I spend another $1,000? And I'm sure when you make $100,000, most investors know that doesn't always come easily. A lot of deals get tied up. Things take a few months to close. Probably some stuff like that.
I always try to have that conversation with my clients too. A typical cash conversion cycle, it's going to be hard to see, instant deals being materialized in the first 30 to 60 days. But just sticking to it, and that's why I have to have that conversation almost on a monthly basis, that you're filling your pipeline. It takes a while for these to come into fruition. On the other hand, that it kind of reminds me of a client that I'm not speaking of anyone in specific, but the client that doesn't have a huge budget towards mail. One of the strategies I usually, if someone's interested in sending out less than 1,000 mailers a month, what I'll do is try to pull a list that will last over the next 3 months. So we're getting in front of all unique homeowners.
Yeah.
The strategy will always change dependent on the client that we're getting in front of.
So. Right. Exactly. And I tell a lot of people, speaking on what you said about the cash conversion cycle being 30, 60 days being slow. It's not really slow. You're getting a lot of calls. And that's one of the beautiful things about direct mail is a lot of other marketing sources, they'll tell you, well, just keep going. Eventually you'll see something. Direct mail, you'll see within the first month, a big spike in calls, and you'll know it's working. You'll know people are interested. The deals just don't typically close the first month, or maybe you don't find a buyer or whatever happens. Typically, I see my clients making money around the end of the third month towards the beginning of the fourth month. And that's when we have our big reviews. So typically when a client starts with me, I'll set them up for 3 months because by the end of that, they'll have some money for another campaign.
Yeah, I would have to agree too. I do have some clients that go on a month-to-month basis, and it makes it a little difficult, but I definitely understand where they're coming from. It's hard to commit to something for 3 to 6 months on end, especially whenever you're not seeing instant profits coming in. For newer investors, it definitely gets a little worrisome at that 2-month mark. But if you're making the right moves and you're generating inbound leads, you're taking the right steps. It just takes some time.
And I tell a lot of new guys that maybe can't afford $5,000 per month for 3 months. That's a lot of money. for someone that's starting off. Maybe you don't have a lot of cash, you're looking to get into the business. I tell them, put some sweat equity in, put up some bandit signs, maybe do some cold calling, whatever doesn't get you in trouble. I can't advocate for texting or anything like that, but whatever you can do to close your couple deals yourself, take that money and then start spending it on marketing, and then make deals kind of come.
Reinvest that back into your marketing machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But prove to yourself you can close a deal before you get to spend $15,000 on marketing.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I would have to agree with that. And even, I mean, there is other options just for cheaper marketing channels like the PPL, where you can just buy one-off leads and siphon through the marketplace, things like that. But yeah, there's always ways for deals to be found with almost spending no money. It just takes a lot more time and effort.
Yeah.
It's basically what you're paying for with using mail is buying back your time and a lot of that effort. Because with us, at least for a majority of my clients, we're pulling the list for them,
right?
Which is already, can be an art of its own. And then we're sending out the mailers. We're doing everything in-house. So all they're really doing is sitting back and waiting for the calls to come in.
Exactly. And there's a saying that goes, everybody wants to win until they see how many fails it takes. Well, when you're working with us, you're working with people that send 4 million mailers per month, right? So historically, we've seen the failures. We've seen what hasn't worked for clients.
Yeah, you're kind of bypassing that guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. The failures are baked in from the past, and even more so the winners. We know it's working, and that's kind of the whole idea of REIPrintMail.
Yeah, and I think it all starts with the data. That's what I like. A lot of my conversations I like to really focus in on the data, just because, you can have the greatest mail piece in the world. If you're not sending it to the right people, it's not going to amount to much. And on the other hand, I've seen mailers that looks like a 5-year-old drew on it close deals. So it's really about getting in front of the right people at the right time.
Yep. Yeah, I had a guy that wasn't through us, but he was putting a Monopoly money in the window of the envelope and was doing really well for him. It was really expensive for him to do, but he killed it. And so we take a lot of stuff like that and we try to create our own versions of it. We're constantly innovating. What's some new stuff? I just recently got a mailer. I'll be honest, I'm a little biased towards mail. So when I'm looking at it, maybe I'm looking a little bit more intently than the average person would be. But I remember specifically being in a bad mood this day, and I got home and I just had a rough day and I just got back from the gym. I'm tired and I'm looking through my stack of mail. I'm standing outside in the cold in front of my trash can and I'm throwing away the newspapers, the postcards and stuff like that. And I'm just tired, right? And I see one envelope that caught my eye. It was a picture of my property and it faded into white.
I've seen it before.
Yeah, it actually caught my eye even while being in a bad mood, wanting to get rid of it. And I took a picture of it. I sent it to our marketing department. I said, hey, can we make this? Next thing you know, a week later, we have a version of like our check mailer with the picture of the property in the front, and that's been doing great. So it's always fun to be able to turn things you see into a mailer within a week, right?
Mm-hmm. And actually, I do the same exact thing, but on the opposite end. If I see a bad mailer, someone trying to buy my house, I'll usually call them and just see how their marketing is doing. It's kind of goofy. They usually don't like it that often.
Right, fair.
But if I approach it in the right way, I have had good discussions where we can turn it around. And that's exactly what we do, is just try to share our insight. Our time's completely free. So anything we can do to help out our clients. And going back to the data side of things, because the mailer is that call to action. It does play a huge part in driving responses.
Right.
But going back to the data, I've been implementing a lot using the AI scoring. We have like 2 different softwares that we can use, but I thought one that was interesting is, I guess it's a new product for us, is the AI software where we can toggle based on our clients' exit strategies. Because what a fix and flipper is looking for is not exactly what a wholesaler is looking for. So we're not just looking for financial distress. We're looking for other factors that align with what our clients are looking for exactly.
Yeah. And, I know our previous AI model was looking at like 40 different things that you wouldn't typically be able to see on a list filter when you're pulling a list. So that was pretty cool. But now we've got a more advanced model that it's going to break each. If I pull just a large county, it's going to break each individual zip code down, look at like online trends and stuff like that, what's selling, what's not, and find little niche stuff. I think that's super cool. We're having AI work for us. Eventually it might take our jobs, but for now we're using it to our benefit.
It does make it a little difficult to describe to just AI in general, discussing on how it scores each lead. But one interesting thing that I came up, like you were mentioning, how it does like a in-depth market analysis. I had a client in Texas. He was in 3 different counties, and it was pretty interesting because he lives there and he didn't even know about some of these insights that it was coming up with. But basically, it was like in one county, it's a lot of military families. They only live there on an average to 8 to 10 years. So this is who we should target there. Okay. But in this county, they're still dealing with hurricane relief and increased pressure from insurance companies and stuff like that. No, this was in Texas. Texas, yeah. I believe there was some hurricane stuff that came through there last year. Yeah. Earlier on in 2025. And I just thought it was pretty interesting. They could decipher who to target in neighboring counties like that and how much it varies.
It's pretty insane. Like you said, it is hard to explain to clients. And I tell most people, I'm like, look, I can't pretend to know how it works, but it does work and it increases. You know, it's funny. I was going to say it increases response rate, but it doesn't. I've noticed it doesn't increase response rate, but it absolutely increases conversion rate, which is like, I think, the best of both worlds. You're getting a few less phone calls, but they have more intent to sell when they do call.
More quality of leads. So it's essentially sending out less mail and finding more deals is the end goal.
Well, right. That's everybody's goal.
For us, but
spend less money, make more money, right? The better ROI. Everyone's end goal. One thing I wanted to bring up was we're getting into the PPL space, which is pretty cool because a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, just they're not in the position to maybe send a ton of mail out right now.
Still get the mail leads is the best part about it.
The pre-qualified mail leads. I'm really excited. We're really new in that space, but we've got so many good leads coming in that why wouldn't we sell them? So we've got pre-qualified mail leads. We're going to be doing some PPC leads and all that. So it's going to be exciting kind of branching into these new spaces. And I've got quite a few people excited as well.
Adding on to the PPL, I think you brought it up for a second, was the PPC. I actually just spoke to a guy last week, and he was spending a ton of money with PPC, and he's paying the maintenance fee, a monthly maintenance fee. And he was just kind of upset with the results because he was getting traction, but it wasn't from the right people. He said he would go to the grocery store and people were like, I saw you on that video, man. He's like, yeah, it's awesome. Are you interested?
And this is with another PPC company?
Yeah. He didn't tell me which company it was, but he said the issue was it wasn't as targeted as he'd like to be. He was getting in front of people, but it wasn't the right people. And that's something we've been exploring out too and doing digital ads to the people on the mail list. So one of the main benefits of mail is getting in front of people that aren't so digitally savvy. So we're reaching a crowd, usually the older crowd that still finds mail to be trustworthy and being one of those last trustworthy sources of advertising. There's still going to be people on that list that aren't going to respond well to direct mail. Right. So targeting, almost having like a two-touch approach to it, that's something that we're really diving into here now. And it shows up on Facebook and Instagram, and anyone that we can't connect with those, it's going to be showing up on Google Ads. So I find it to be really interesting and see how these results play out throughout this year.
Yeah, me too. Well, a big point you touched on was that one of the biggest downsides to PPC was that you can't be very targeted. So a lot of people did really good with PPC if maybe they're nationwide. And like the broader you were with PPC, the better you did. But a lot of times you get like properties that are in the sticks or the ghetto or whatever, right? Properties that are harder to sell. But now with, I don't even know who we're partnering with, and if I did, I probably wouldn't say it out loud anyways, but we're able to target the specific list that we're pulling for mail, which I think is super cool because now we've got the best of both worlds. The best part of mail is that you could be super targeted. You're not shooting with a shotgun, you're shooting with a sniper, and now you can do that with the PPC as well. So you know that you're not paying for a bunch of people that have absolutely no intention of selling to see the leads.
Yeah, and the exciting thing about it is I've had other clients in the past, I actually still have clients that do this, is we skip trace the list and they'll simultaneously cold call while the mail is going out. But this is one of those things, going back to buying back your time, is we're getting in front of these people in two different methods, digital and physical. They don't have to hire a VA or they don't have to do the cold calling themselves. So you're technically saving time and money by including the PPC in your mail campaigns too.
Yeah, and for anyone that might be listening, it's like 20 cents on top of your mailers. It's way cheaper than the mail itself, and you're hitting them with another form of marketing, and you're getting another touch on them. So it's absolutely worth the money. I was surprised that it was that cheap at the end of the day. So I'm probably going to be having quite a few people doing it coming this week.
Yeah, like I was saying, I just talked to a guy last week. I think we were about to switch him over just because of that reason itself. He just wasn't getting in front of the right crowd. And when I mentioned that, he's like, so there's no maintenance fee, and I'm getting in front of the people that we know are likely to be motivated. He's like, that's almost a no-brainer.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it was good talking with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do this soon.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you back at the office.
Absolutely.
Good talking to you.